All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the 8-3, one of the most, if not the most explosive offenses in the Miami Dolphins. They are 8-0 when Tua starts. They are getting there defensively week by week, and they had just a phenomenal start to the regular season. 3-0, Tua goes down, and they've won 5 straight football games. And now we're getting to the final 6 games or so of the regular season, and there's some testers in there, specifically with the hardest division that they're in, where you have New England, you've got the Jets, you have the Bills, a game against all 3 of those teams. But it's going to start this weekend against San Francisco. But to be quite honest with you, I don't see any reason why what they've done so far in the last 5 weeks, what they did to start off the season where they were taking down the Patriots, they were taking down the Bills, I don't see a reason why that won't continue. I mean, the fact that they're 8-0 when Tua plays it's insane. You know, Tua missed some games, right? But they are still putting up 26 points a game on the season. They're still a top 5 offense on the season. All it boils down to for me with Miami, and we'll talk about this more in depth in the end of this video, is health. That is quite literally it. Because defensively, they are back into the top 20. I would imagine, and I am anticipating that by the end of the season, they will be in the top half in defense, in the top 16. But when you have this offense, when you have an MVP candidate in Tua, when you have a versatile running attack that they only added to recently with Jeff Wilson, when you have Jalen Waddle, when you have Tyreek Hill, even Mike Gesicki, underrated, underutilized tight end, when you have a head coach in Mike McDaniel who is creative, he's versatile, when you have this depth that Miami has this season, they're just bound for success. And the best part about the Dolphins to me is this: if it's not this year, it's okay. You know, it's not like they're the Rams where they just spent all of this money at the trade deadline. They just spent all of this money in free agency the year before, or they've been spending insane amount of money the last couple of years where their window is closing. They have a bunch of older players, a bunch of players at the tail end of their prime. No. They have players who have yet to even get into their prime. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa is an MVP, and he is shutting every hater he had up. And it's crazy. It's awesome to see. Before we get any further in this video, though, guys, if you enjoy it and you want more Dolphins content, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button. It's my first ever Dolphins video. Post NFL, NBA content every single day. So show some Fins love down below. And I'll keep making Dolphins videos probably regardless, to be honest with you. I live about 2 hours away from Miami, so I should probably get to one of these games by the end of the season. 4 of their next 5 games are on the road. Their next 3 games are actually on the road. And here's how it goes. You got San Francisco, you have the Chargers, and you have Buffalo. To me, if Miami can get out of that 2-1, I think truly the sky's the limit. The one nitpick I see personally with Miami is, there's actually a bunch of nitpicks that people have with the Dolphins, and it starts with Tua, but that's just being shut up real quickly. We actually have his stats right here. Tua on the season, 70% completion rate. You heard that right. Tua has a 70% completion rate. He has, and keep in mind, he's missed a couple of games. He's missed a handful of football games for them. So he has 2,564 yards, which might not be mind-blowing, but that averages out to 285 yards per game. And you got to keep in mind, there have been plenty of weeks, like this past weekend against Houston, where, first off, their starters didn't even play at the end of the game, right? Their starters didn't even play. Houston didn't necessarily come back, but it was cool to see Miami's defense just step up and squash that, nip that in the bud. We'll talk about that at the end of this video, but that's how good their offense is they just put their foot on the gas first half, and then it's not necessarily that they ease up in the second half. It's more so that they can just game manage. They can play it a little bit differently. They can play it more conservatively because, like I said at the beginning of this video, to me the most important part about the Dolphins' success this season and into the playoffs is the health of Tua. That is it. I mean, the health in general. You got guys like Armstead, who we heard Mike McDaniel come out and say a couple of days ago that he anticipates him to play. That is huge, especially for Tua's health again. So the good news is, with your remaining 6 games of the season, I don't want to say they'll go 3-3 because I don't think they'll go 3-3. But worst case scenario, even if they went 3-3, just 500 in the last 6 weeks, you're still 11. You still are 11-6. Like, you still had a phenomenal season. You're still in the playoffs. You know, regardless of how difficult your division is, you're still at the top of the AFC. Maybe not the number 1 seed, which they could get the number 1 seed, which is why you don't want to go 3-3, right? Home field. We'll talk about home field and all that at the end, but 2 on the season, 19 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 285 yards a game. So defensively, their nitpicks are, you know, Tua isn't elite, right? Tua can't get the job done. Well, that's wrong. Secondly, you have the defense isn't good enough. Well, I have issues with that because they've been steadily improving, just especially in the last 5 or 6 weeks of the regular season. Their defense isn't bad. You know, their pass defense might not be the best, but the good news is, I think personally they're going to start hitting their stride at the right time, and you know, they've got some tester games coming up. But you know, starting with San Francisco, they love to run the football, but Jimmy G, to me, you know, not necessarily an elite quarterback. Justin Herbert, the Chargers offense, a little test. You know, you got Buffalo. I think their defense is plenty fine. I guess that's my point. I think they're plenty fine. And lastly, you have, and this is kind of an interesting nitpick. It's, I guess, home field, or it's, you know, playing in Miami. And it's, to me, I find this so fascinating because, you know, I don't really think it stays true. Like, I think, you know, maybe 20 years ago, first things first, I'm a Packers fan. So, you know, we have Lambeau Field and the frozen tundra, and you know, that plays to our advantage, but I don't think personally anymore. San Francisco, a team in the West, took us down at home last year. So it's like, yeah, maybe 20 years ago it helps a little bit, or it helps a lot, whatever the case may be, but these are professional athletes. These are grown men. I don't think any player who plays for the Miami Dolphins or any team in, you know, a warmer state, warmer city in football, I don't think that when they go and play Buffalo in January, they're, you know, freezing cold and, you know, they can't even move and they're so acclimated to Miami weather. Like, it's just weather. It's just cold air. It's just snow. It's just wind. Like, these are grown-ass men, professional athletes. So when I hear that nitpick, I'm like, ooh, I don't really buy into that. And also, Miami has the potential and they have the ability, if you just keep on winning, they have the ability to get the home field advantage, and that would be game over. That to me would be wraps. I think Miami at that point might even be my favorite contender. They might be my favorite if they can get home field advantage for the duration of the playoffs headed into the Super Bowl. That to me would be a lot. But I'm not worried, you know, to a 116 rating on the season. You have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, you have a versatile running unit. Like, these are grown men. I just don't think that weather is going to play into a huge role if they, you know, lose out to Buffalo or if they lose out to Kansas City. Like, it's just cold weather, man. It's I don't think it's that big of a deal. So let me know what you guys are thinking about Miami headed into the last 6 weeks or so of the NFL regular season. We're getting close to the playoffs. I know it doesn't really feel like it too much quite yet, but once Christmas rolls around, you'll definitely be feeling it, and I think we're all excited for it. So hit that like button, hit that sub button. Let's try and get this video to 100 likes. If you're still watching this video right now, I want to hear your opinion on the Miami Dolphins playoff chances, playoff run, I should say, not chances, Super Bowl chances. How's that? Down below.